The title of my talk is called What is Your Song? And it's based on actually a story that I read on Facebook about this tribe in Africa. And obviously I don't know if the tribe exists, but I really like the message, and so I felt that it was worded very nicely and I think sets the tone for my talk today. So I'm going to read it to you, and I asked Yuji to put some flair in the background, okay? Get us in the mode of Africa. Okay. There is a tribe in Africa where the birth date of a child is counted not from when they are born, nor from when they are conceived, but from the day that the child was thought in its mother's mind. And when a woman decides that she will have a child, she goes off and sits under a tree by herself, and she listens until she can hear the song of the child that wants to come. And after she's heard the song of this child, she comes back to the man who will be the child's father and teaches it to him. And then, when they make love to physically conceive the child, some of that time they sing the song of the child as a way to invite it. And then, when the mother is pregnant, she teaches that child's song to the midwives and the old women of the village, so that when the child is born, the old women and the people around her sing the child's song to welcome it. And then, as the child grows up, the other villagers are taught the child's song. If the child falls or hurts his or her knee, someone picks him or her up and sings the child his or her song. Or perhaps the child does something wonderful or goes through the rites of puberty. Then, as a way of honoring this person, the people of the village sing his or her song. In the African tribe, there is one other occasion upon which the villagers sing to the child. If at any time during his or her life the person commits a crime or an apparent social act, the individual is called to the center of the village, and the people in the community form a circle around him or her. Then they sing their song to the child. The tribe recognizes that the correction of antisocial behavior is not punishment, it is love and the remembrance of identity. When you recognize your own song, you have no desire or need to do anything that would hurt another. And it goes this way through their life. In marriage, the songs are sung together. And finally, when this child is lying in bed ready to die, all the villagers know his or her song, and they sing for the last time the song to that person. You may not have grown up in an African tribe that sings your song to you at crucial life transitions, but life is always reminding you when you are in tune with yourself and when you are not. When you feel good, what you are doing matches your song, and when you feel awful, it doesn't. In the end, we shall all recognize our song and sing it well. You may feel warbly at the moment, but so have all the great singers. Just keep singing, and you'll find your way home. Does everybody feel all nice and warm and fuzzy inside? Yeah. Okay. I feel we can all draw a few things from this story. For example, the way that we deal with punishment. As a parent of small children, it's so easy for me to lose my temper at, the constant spills and messes and bickering. But I know that, or I've come to realize that when I get overly angry at my children, then it just makes the situation worse. And my children feel, devalued and for making mistakes. So for me, as a parent, this story helps me to recognize that instead of reacting, I need to redirect their behavior into what is really who they are, right? But the overall message from this story is also clear to me, that throughout our lives, we need to continually come back to who we are, to our roots, as often as possible to make sure we're fulfilling our purpose for being here on earth. And the story alluded to the fact that we do this by checking our conscience, right? when you feel good about doing something, you know that you're doing something in accordance to really who you are and what you should be doing. So, in considering Shigemune Sanghwa and the traditions of our movement surrounding birth and death, one reflection that a fellow second-gen mom had was this: our lives are truly not our own. They are public from the moment we come into this world. So, to delve a little deeper into what she was talking about, I wanted to shed some light on the traditions we have in our movement in times of welcoming new life and in also dealing with death. So for those of you who are young unificationists who were born into this movement, how many of you are those in the audience? We have a few, right? Or blessed children, right? You may or may not be aware that when you were being born into this world, blessed members were praying for you, for your safe delivery. And also, 8 days after you were born, your parents held a special ceremony recognizing you as a child of God, and they offered your life up to God and God's will. So in other words, in our movement, we believe that our children, while they have been entrusted to us as parents, they are ultimately God's children. They belong to God, and they are a part of True Parents' direct lineage. And for our older members, for those who joined later in life, this realization came after the blessing and after drinking the holy wine. Also, when we die, as you might remember from the Sanghwa, it is not the end of your life, but actually the beginning of your new life as a solely spiritual being existing in the infinite realm of God's love. As True Father, the Reverend Sun Myung Moon has said many times, we are meant to be born in love, live in love, and die in love. I feel this can only become a reality for us when we recognize who we are as God's children. When we lose sight of that, when we value other things like power, position, material possessions. And believe it or not, the reality is that even if you attain those things, like even if you have all the money in the world, it's never enough, actually, right? So even if you get that powerful position, or if you get that, that status or whatever it is that, so many people in our world are striving for, actually when we attain it, then many times we realize that it's not enough. It's not really what we're looking for. We will never truly be satisfied with that kind of a life. But when we know who we are, when we really feel it deeply, we also cannot just sit content and complacent in knowing, well, I'm God's child and I'm great. If we really knew who we were as God's children, we would be poised and ready to act. We would not be able to help but work continuously, day and night, for others to understand also where their value comes from. And this kind of reminds me of Mrs. Breland when she showed us that diagram about witnessing, how essentially when you're witnessing to someone, you're actually just believing in that person as God believes in that person, and you're helping to direct them to see themselves from God's point of view. So in going back to this sister's observation, we are not here for ourselves. We have to live our lives living up to our purpose. And in the same way, this is true for America as well. America was conceived by God in the same way that you were conceived by God before you were even a thought in your parents' mind or a twinkle in their eye. God took the greatest care and planning in creating you, imagining each and every one of your unique features and traits. And in a similar way, America was created to serve a great and unique purpose. America has been blessed, not for herself, but in order to play a bigger role in bringing the world back to God. Do you feel that you have such a special mission as well as a unique and eternal blessed son or daughter of God? Yes? All right. We as individuals, as people representing America, need to be globally minded. We need to be thinking of serving the world first, and then the world will follow us. So this past Wednesday, Pastor Abe and I, we have a little free time because we're not teaching in the summer. So we went down to New York City to attend the monthly headquarters meeting. And during that meeting, CARP USA came up and shared about their recent trip to Japan. So you've probably seen it on Peace TV and also on our weekly updates that we show. Basically, the original intention for USA CARP was just to go to Japan as a pilgrimage, okay? And then it sort of began to grow. Actually, if we're in Japan, we should meet with the Japanese CARP, right? So, and then not only should we meet with the Japanese CARP members, we should also make this an historical event and hold like a reconciliation ceremony, which they did. But because of this initiative that our CARP group started, then actually Korea had no choice but to jump right in as well. So actually it ended up being a very, very significant gathering between America CARP, Japan CARP, and Korea CARP. And I think it really touched the lives of many of the young people who went. So through Naokimi's sharing, it showed us how much USA CARP really set the example for other nations to come together. And later, Dr. Kim, our regional president, emphasized how important it is for us to stand in a position of world leaders, no matter what our current position may be. So some of you may or may not know Dr. Kim's background. Actually, he was leading ACLC in Chicago. And before that time, ACLC was established, but it was not as well known or accepted by the Christian ministers in that area. But in Chicago, Dr. Kim came in already being proud of winning the ministers' hearts. And even before going out and meeting them, he basically already proclaimed himself a victor. And he went out really having conviction that I am, God and True Parents representative. And he went out there, and I think people could really feel that. And they took him seriously. So actually, Chicago quickly became a model city for ACLC, but also it continues to be. Okay, even though over time Dr. Kim was called elsewhere and now is our continental director. So again, if we act on behalf of the world for the sake of being a conduit of love, we create a standard that others feel called to be a part of. We inspire others to act when we are genuine in our resolution to improve the world. So in considering our attitude towards our greater purpose in life, the question becomes, how are we preparing ourselves to influence the world? I had a chance to review Dr. Ward's message during the Sanghua 2 Saturdays ago, and it struck me again how much work Shigemune was doing to prepare himself to serve the world in a greater capacity. So even though, here he was living in Bridgeport, driving, an 18-wheeler. This is what my 5-year-old always brings up. What do you want to say to Shige? That he was a good 18-wheeler driver. Somehow he really admires that part. That's admirable. But also, behind the scenes, he really had this heart and desire that, beyond what I'm doing right now is really for the sake of doing more in the future. So for him, that was really in the sense of mastering language and embracing diverse cultures. Dr. Ward emphasized Shige's deep concern and commitment also for bringing reconciliation between Korean and Japanese people. So, if we know in history, the Korean people have been suffering at the hands of the Japanese for 400 years. And this is still something that is an historical pain. And Shigemune, even though he was full Japanese, living in Korea and studying in Korea, he really understood that hurt that was there, and he really wanted to do something, following the example of our true parents to alleviate that pain, that han. It was something he would talk at length about together with Dr. Ward in his office, and I didn't know about anything about this, but was revealed at the Seonghwa. All of us need to come to a point in recognizing who we are and where we come from. Then, based on our conviction, we need to go out and testify about our true parents, or the Reverend and Dr. Samyang Moon and Hak Jahan Moon. It's not only because of God's love and unchanging nature that we're here today. Okay, God loves every single person in the world. But also we're here today because true parents stood up, considered God's heart above their own, and took the call to carry the world's 7.4 billion people on their shoulders. We need to testify about who our true parents are. And to quote Dr. Kim from the Wednesday meeting, this is something that really stuck with me. Other groups are not testifying to true parents and are getting confused. But as long as we testify clearly to who they are for humanity, we will be on the right track. I firmly believe, brothers and sisters, let us not doubt, but trust fully in the work of our true parents and who we have been called to be in our lives. Thank you so much. Please join me in prayer. Our dearest, most beloved Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, thank you so much for this beautiful Sunday morning, for the opportunity for us to gather together as community members, as brothers and sisters, as your sons and daughters who are constantly making effort to connect to you. In the world that we live in, so many are so lost and suffering. And this is the kind of weight and often the garbage and the mess that we have to sift through every day and really, really make effort in order to connect to you and to your truth and to ultimately who we are as your precious gems, your precious diamonds, who are really meant to bring light to the world. I pray so much, let us not forget who we are and why we were created at this time, to be living at this most incredible time in history, like no other time. It is truly precious. And every day we have a new opportunity in small ways, and sometimes even the hardest ways, in dealing with the relationships of those that we love and are closest to. And then also thinking about from a bigger perspective, representing to others, not just as America, but also as worldly figures, as those who really want to wrap our arms around the whole world and embrace the whole world. Let us strive to continue to do that, no matter what kinds of challenges we come across in our day-to-day, no matter how we feel at any given moment, that this can really be our resolve. Most beloved Heavenly Parent, you have toiled and suffered for 6,000 years, waiting for a true son and a true daughter to stand and to say, yes, yes, we will do it. We will take responsibility for this world. And our true parents have done that. And our true parents continue to do that. Even though our father is in the spiritual world and our mother is here working on earth, the message is clear and consistent. Love the world. Love the world on behalf of God. Live for others. I pray so much that as long as we continue to have these words resonate within us, that we will always be doing the right thing and we will always feel centered. And it's my earnest hope that today these brothers and sisters that are gathered here can really internalize that message and can really carry it forth and inspire others who may not be here today, or inspire others who may be struggling or may not even be noticeably struggling, but to share it and to really live better from this moment on. As our true mother mentioned in the Peace TV video, it's not easy. It's really, really not easy to live a good life. It's a moment-by-moment struggle. But how rewarding it is, because when we claim victory, it makes it easier for other people to do it. So in caring about our brothers and sisters, let us become better people so that we can make it easier for other people to go along the path towards our Heavenly Parent and towards our true parents. Thank you so much for this time. I pray upholding the names of our true parents and the names of Abraham and Mika Deshotel of a blessed interfamily. Adieu.